So, if you're learning Arabic, I am sure you've hit this exact wall. You learn a new noun, you feel great about it, and then, bam, you see it in a sentence and its ending is totally different. Why does it do that? Well, don't worry, it's not random. Today, we're going to unlock that mystery for good. And that right there is the big question, isn't it? It's what every student asks. But here's the good news. The answer is the key to understanding the entire language. There's this beautiful, logical system behind all those changes, and once you see it, you'll go from just guessing at sentences to actually reading them with confidence. So let's break it all down. Here's our game plan. We'll start with the basic idea of what a noun state even is. Then we'll get into the 3 specific Arabic states. After that, we'll meet the different types of nouns, see exactly how they change, and then put it all together with some real-world examples. By the end of this, you'll have the foundation you need. Let's get into it. Okay, first things first. Before we even dive deep into Arabic grammar, let's talk about a concept you actually already know from English. It all boils down to the job a noun is doing in a sentence. Think about it like this. Is the noun the one doing the action? Or is the action being done to it? Or maybe it owns something else. Each of those jobs puts the noun in a different grammatical state. The only real difference is that Arabic is super helpful. It makes these states obvious by changing the ending of the word itself. And this slide right here, it's the perfect bridge. The concepts are exactly the same. What English calls the doer state, Arabic calls Rafa. The object state is called Nasb. And that possessive state, that's Jarr. See? Same ideas, we just have a few new names to learn. All right, let's get properly introduced to our 3 new terms, Rafa, Nasb, and Jarr. These are the 3 fundamental states, or Halat, that every single noun in Arabic can be in. Honestly, getting these down is the key that unlocks everything else. So here's the core idea, plain and simple. If a noun is in the Rafa state, it's the star of the show. It's the one doing something. If it's in the Nasb state, it's on the receiving end of that action. And if it's in the Jarr state, it's all about ownership or a relationship, like saying the door of the house. Okay, so we've got our 3 states. Simple enough, right? But here's the next little twist. Not all nouns show these states in the exact same way. They actually fall into 3 distinct categories based on how much, or, how little, they actually change. And this chart tells you exactly where to focus your energy. See that massive slice, that 85%? Those are called munsarif nouns, and they change for all 3 states. Then you've got a smaller group, liar munsarif, that only partially change. And finally, this tiny little sliver, called mabni, they don't change at all. So naturally, we're going to start with the biggest one first. Now for the really practical part, the rules themselves. Let's look at exactly how the endings of these nouns change to signal Rafa, Nasb, and Jarr. Let's start with the big one, the munsarif nouns. These guys are the real backbone of the language, and the key thing to remember is super simple. They have a unique, distinct ending for each of the 3 states. There's no guesswork involved at all. Let's take the name Muhammad as our example. When it's in the Rafa state, it ends with that un sound. In the Nasb state, it ends in un. And in the Jarr state, it's in. 3 states, 3 totally different endings. It's beautiful. But hang on a second. Look really closely at that Nasb form. See that extra letter at the end? The aleph? That's not a typo. It's actually a spelling rule. When a munsarif noun gets that an ending for the Nasb state, you almost always have to add the silent aleph. Now, I did say almost always. There are just 2 little exceptions to remember. You don't add that extra aleph if the word already ends in a round ta, the ta marbuta, or if it ends in a hamza that comes right after an aleph. Just keep those 2 in your back pocket and you're good to go. All right, on to our second category, غير منصرف, the ones that only partially change. Now these are a bit different. Instead of 3 unique forms, they only use 2, which in a way kind of makes things a little simpler. Take a name like Ibrahim. For the Rafa state, it ends in a simple U sound. But check this out. For both Nasb and Jarr, it ends in A. They look exactly the same. This is where you have to use the context of the sentence to figure out what job the noun is doing. And finally, we get to the easiest group of them all, mabni nouns. You can think of these as the rebels of the Arabic language. They just don't follow any of the rules we've been talking about. They stay the same no matter what. A perfect example is the word haha, which means this. It doesn't matter if it's the doer, the object, or showing possession. It never, ever changes. It's always just haha. Pretty simple, right? Luckily, it's a small group of words, so they're easy to memorize. Okay, that's enough theory. Let's see this stuff in the wild. This is where the light bulb really goes on, when you see these states actually working inside real sentences. Here's our first example. Kataba al-waladu ad-darsa, which means the boy wrote the lesson. So you ask yourself, who did the writing? The boy did. He's the doer of the action. That means the noun has to be in the Rafa state. And you can see it marked right there with that final dhamma on the end, giving it that oo sound, al-waladu. All right, next up, qara'a at-talibu al-kitaba. The student read the book. This time, let's focus on the book. What was read? The book. The action of reading happened to the book, which makes it the object. And that means it has to be in the nasaf state, which you can see from that fatha on the end, giving it that final ah sound, al-kitaba. And for our final state, let's look at this sentence. هذا بيت المدرس. This is the house of the teacher. So whose house is it? It's the teacher's house. That's a classic possessive relationship. And that tells us that the teacher must be in the Jarr state. And the ending confirms it, with that nice clear kasra giving it the I sound, al-mudarrisi. So, we've covered the three states, we've met the three noun types, and we've seen them in action. Let's just take a step back for a second and really lock in why this is so incredibly important for learning Arabic. Okay, let's do a quick recap. You now know that a noun's ending is basically a secret code that tells you its exact job in a sentence. You know the three states, Rafa, Nasb, and Jarr, and you know that nouns fall into one of three camps, munsaref, ghair munsaref, or mebni. This is the engine that makes the whole language run. And look, this isn't just some abstract grammar rule you have to memorize for a test. This is your decoder ring for the entire language. It lets you look at any sentence and instantly understand who did what to whom. It is the absolute foundation for getting to real fluency. We started this whole thing by talking about unlocking a mystery. Well, you now hold the key. Those changing endings aren't some confusing puzzle anymore. They're actually a map. So the only question left is, what doors of understanding are you going to open first?